Hey,
Hey
Andrew.
Rob, how
How's it
you
going?
going?
Yeah, good man. How are you?
I am great. How is the evening over there?
Yeah, it's all right. It's not as cold as it has been the last few nights. I mean, this January's just been miserable in the UK. It's just been grey and cold and one of those it's that yeah, that sort of hangover from Christmas in the winter where
Yep,
you don't mind being cold at Christmas because it's Christmassy,
yep.
you go, but in January you just don't want it to be like this. But today was actually quite nice. It's not as freezing as it has been, which is good.
Well, Brisbane's been miserable because it's been too damn hot.
Yeah, it's height of your summer right now.
Yeah, it's
Am
really
I right?
weird. It's our last month of summer, but it seems that it just waits until the last month just to kick our ass.
Ah,
Like
not ideal.
high 30s with massive humidity.
Oh man.
Yep.
Wow. Well, hang on in there. We
Bring
can
on the
do.
winter,
Yeah.
which is like an English summer in Brisbane.
Yeah, true. I mean, we had, I guess, the closest thing. I think this summer it felt like the hottest it's been in the UK. We had a crazy hot summer,
Well, it's
and that feeling of when it ends and you're like, you miss it as soon as it's gone, but like that
yep.
feeling of relief when it's like, oh, okay, this is nice now. We can put on a jacket. It feels good, you know.
Right.
So I can now. I before I don't know if I could have related, but now I can.
Perfect.
With the crazy heat waves we've been getting.
So I've got to ask, 2023, it seems like the year of Don Broco. So it's sold out tours, going into Europe, going into the US, coming back to Australia, and the massive highlight of all is actually talking to me today. So, you know, great for
Definitely.
2023. Um, Look, it's an obvious question, but why now to come back and see us?
I mean, we've been trying to find the right time to come and see you for, yeah, since COVID, really. That just messed everything up for, so many people, on a much more serious extent than, touring bands traveling. But obviously the knock-on effect to live music and everything coming back at different times and making plans just seemed like a crazy thing when you
Yep.
made a only it seems only like a few months ago now where you book a tour and then within like a few months you had to postpone it or reschedule the whole thing, which we had to do a number of times with some of our tours in the UK and in Europe and the US. So we kind of wanted to wait until it kind of made sense and everything had settled down, and we knew what our kind of plans were. The rest of the world, because we've only been to Australia once before. We're kind of like a new baby band out in
Yep.
Australia. It feels like, but we were desperate to come and get to play, this album
Yeah.
in Australia. We came for the first time a few years back when it was just before we released Technology, but we were kind of playing a lot of the songs from that record at those shows. But yeah, we as soon as we kind of had the opportunity to come out to you guys, we wanted to get that locked in, and it's kind of nice now. The album's been out for a little while, so I feel like we've never had a proper like album release before
Yep.
in Australia. It's very much kind of word of mouth at the moment, so it's kind of nice when when word of mouth does actually work and it filters through and people talking about you and sharing your music to their friends and stuff. So it feels like a good time.
You mentioned word of mouth. So, word of mouth in 2023 is social media. It's pretty much a blessing and a curse. What is it for the band?
Yeah, definitely a bit of both. I mean, we wouldn't be a band today without social media. I guess we started back in the MySpace days,
Yep.
as a school band where we'd be promoting our shows through, begging for gig swaps with other bands up and down the UK and us shouting out their shows, they'd be shouting out ours, um, back before we could work out how to do a mailing list before people really did them. You know, we were literally writing down. We'd go through our MySpace list and you know, ask everyone a personal question, like where they were from. Start up a chat with every, like, I mean, back then we only had a couple of thousand fans, so it was kind of manageable. And I remember we had a spreadsheet where we'd like write down where everyone was from. So if we ever had a show in that area, we could hit them up, you know, personally. And you know, that wouldn't have been possible without the social media of MySpace. And then obviously as that's grown and become even more important today with Twitter and Instagram, it's the main way really you promote your music and the tours you have on sale. But at the same time, which, you know, is an incredible medium, but it does become, you know, I've written probably like 3 albums with the songs about it that haven't seen the light of day, but a few songs about elements of social media that I don't like, and even like the non super negative stuff, just the sort of you know, the mechanics of having a presence, you know, whether it's you know, being in a band, or I'm sure, you know, running interviews, and anyone who's got anything to promote, you almost feel like you're not doing yourself justice by not constantly shouting about it, which is, you know, can lead to, you know, just very not fun times where you're constantly doubting yourself and thinking yourself, you know, you're a failure for not promoting yourself enough. And then sometimes you look back and you go, whoa, I went really hard on that. I probably over promoted that. I've annoyed everyone right now. Because it's a difficult balance to strike. And I think, you know, people are really understanding now more than ever, like the negative effects on mental health, and how, you know, you can't just be glued to your phone or your computer all day. You need to be out enjoying the sunshine, nature, and walks, and, you know, all the things that aren't online. So it's a blessing and a curse. I think you summed it up very well.
Could you imagine, you mentioned MySpace and asking personal questions. If you did that in 2023, someone would think you're a hacker trying to get their password.
Hell yeah. I mean, some of the weird, you know, we'd be trying to strike up conversations early days just with the most random things on people's MySpace. They'd leave you a comment saying they liked a song or they came to a show, and it's kind of proper cringe looking back, but we were just desperate to make fans and make friends on MySpace. You know, we'd go on their profile, we'd see some, like a band they liked, or like a TV show or something that we liked, had in common. We just start convos, and we had this really good, you know, quite personal connection with a lot of fans. But now if you did that, people would instantly think you're sus. They'd be like, what are they trying to get out of me now? Like, they're just waiting for you to ask, you know, what their credit card details are, and their home address. Between two together. I mean, a lot of the comments we get on our posts are just like tout resells, and some of them are getting pretty clever. Like, you know, we'll put a post up about, I don't know, a tour or something, and you get the notifications through that, and we're like, man, this is popping off. People want to come to this tour, and half the comments are touts saying they've got tickets for sale to the tour. They're not real people, but they say it in a way where, you know, they've got enough, you know, enough humanity behind them that you kind of a lot of people will believe them and then buy the show. So it's a tricky game in all aspects of working out who's legit or not.
Yeah, I hear you. I got a comment on ours last night for selling tickets for a show that wasn't even on sale yet. So I thought that was pretty clever of them.
Yeah. They've got a lot of tactics now as well, and like you click on them, and they've got like a load of photos up, and like, you know, enough friends that you think, oh, okay, they're trying.
Now you mentioned,
you got to stay one step ahead.
You mentioned blessing and a curse. So for everyone that's got something to say, they'll always have to have now something to answer. What has been, over 15 years as a band, the best thing that you've had to say and the worst thing you've had to answer?
Oh, that's a good question. it's hard to it's really hard to think the best
Yep.
it's hard to know what impact you've had. I mean, in regards to kind of, I guess, social media and the general I guess the general vibe of like everyone having a voice and putting giving your 2 cents on almost every topic that comes out. Like I found personally, I've kind of I've written I guess one of the songs that kind of deals with it most is Stay Ignorant, which is off our album Technology, which is just when I was getting so caught up in the bad news that was going on back then at the time. I had to kind of switch off, and it kind of, that has now led to being engulfed by terrible things happening in the world and just shit things happen to all sorts of people, and then feeling the need to comment on everything, and give your perspective on it to the entire world, which is something that is feels so much, for me, so much less stressful just talking about it with friends and discussing that in real life, where you're not torn down for maybe getting something wrong or having an opinion or learning about it in the process. So I tend to stay away from a lot of stuff like that on social media now, because for me it's just it's too stressful and too the gain from it is not worth the pain involved. So I think one of the best things, probably, I feel like we spoke about on the last record, was unpacking our song Manchester Super Red's #1 Fan, which kind of tackles that, and I felt like a lot of people, once you kind of pull down the fun facade of the song and the sort of the tagline of the lyrics, which kind of throw you off in one direction, and we unpack what the song was about, which is really everyone criticizing people on social media and really kind of tearing people down. I felt like a lot of people kind of related to that, and hopefully it kind of like unpacked a lot of the things that other people have spoken about before, but we'd never spoken about it to our fans. And it was something that I think all sorts of people deal with, but like bands especially, I think are kind of caught in the cross. I mean, anyone with a social media platform, basically. But almost like the more sort of people, the more love you have within like a fan base or community, sometimes like it's the people who kind of love you the most who tear you down the most, because they feel betrayed if you've done something, if you've had an opinion that isn't theirs, or you've done something as simple as writing a song they don't like, and you've changed your sound. Like, people can take it so personally and be really quite horribly critical about it. So I felt that was quite an important thing to say, and it was quite nice. We did like I don't know if anyone watched it, to be fair, but me and Matt, our drummer in the band, we partnered with a charity in the UK, Hope FC, who were running something in conjunction with like BT Sport, to sort of raise awareness for hate online, but hate within the football community as well. So that felt really good to be a part of that, and kind of say something that we did, we've kind of felt ourselves now and then. We've seen a load of other people feel, so it felt like we were kind of standing up for ourselves and for other people. So that was nice.
Well, so I've got to ask this. I've got a football mad 9-year-old. So who's your team?
So I don't have a team anymore. I'm not like a big football guy. Manchester United was my team probably when I was 9. And it's one of like the most vivid memories of being a kid, was Manchester United losing the Premiership title one. We're in the final. I can't remember who we were playing, and I was football crazy at that time. And I just, like a lot of kids in my year, I just supported the team that the coolest kid in my class supported. But we all pretty much half my class at school supported Manchester United. Didn't live anywhere near Manchester, but that doesn't matter. And I remember being so crushed when they lost, like inconsolable, like for like weeks. Like I couldn't get over it. And I remember my dad just, he didn't know what to do. Like he'd be like, he'd tell me it didn't matter, but it did matter so much to me then. I think it was maybe the first. Also, Man United won everything back then, so like I supported a team that never lost, and then when they did lose, my undeveloped brain, I guess, couldn't compute it, and rather than maybe learning from it and turning me into someone who could take a loss, instead I just rejected football for my
That's
life.
fantastic.
And never really, I mean, I follow, all the World Cups and everything, and we'll go to the football with my mates. But yeah, I don't follow the team. Matt, on the other hand, still supports Manchester United. He's a massive fan, and that's actually where the name of our song Manchester Super Reds #1 fan came from. Was this random time I was my parents had found a load of stuff in my room from a kid. I had this key ring, like an unofficial Man U key ring, which said Manchester Super Reds #1 fan. I gave it to him while we were like in the studio that day. And when we were looking for a little tagline to join these two sections together, I just shouted some random lyrics that I had on a key ring. And that actually, and transformed into, a big part of the song. So yeah, he's a big Man U fan still to this day. So
perfect. Now, Slam Dunk
who's your son sport?
Anyone that Ronaldo plays for.
Okay.
But it was really weird. Like a couple of years ago, he really started getting into music, and we were able to take him to a few shows. So he went through his I Love Kiss phase because Dad loves Kiss, and then we took him to Alice Cooper, and that was his first sort of like backstage experience, and he thought he was the shit. And music's taken a back seat now. He plays like rap soccer, so it's he's got the signed frame Ronaldo poster, but he knows all the stats of all the players, and he'll come running out and tell you about it, and all you've got to do is nod and smile, because he knows more than I ever will.
Wow, detailed knowledge.
It is as a kid. Slam Dunk Festival, tell me about that day in total. What was it like as a band?
It was unreal. Like that was our first show back, from after lockdown. And it was a show that we kind of never thought would happen. It had been delayed 3 times, I think. The first year it got postponed when we didn't know what was happening with COVID. I think it's meant to be in May, then it got pushed back to like September or something. Then it got pushed back another year to May, then again to September. And it was a crazy time when, if you did have COVID, as soon as anyone in your crew if they contracted COVID, you get pulled from the festival. So we were all on like, just super high alert. Everyone was just, it's really tense because you're just trying not to get ill. You're not the weeks leading up to that. We're like practicing and we're trying to, we haven't played in probably like 2 years at that point. And you're kind of practicing hardcore for this thing that is like the biggest festival. We've never headlined a festival before. It's the biggest alternative festival in the UK. And we were super excited and nervous for the show, but we were also just like, is this even going to happen? And I remember like after the first show as well, because there was the first one was Leeds, then it was Hatfield, and they were strict with the protocols. One of the water parks played the first one, North, and a member of their crew, I think it was their front of house, got COVID, tested positive the day after in Hatfield, and they were all there. And there's not like they were hanging out with him all the time as well. He'd been busy setting everything up. So but yeah, none of them were allowed to play. They were like on site, but they weren't allowed to play. They had to stay in their bus. So the whole time we were just thinking, like, don't get ill. Is this going to happen? So when it did happen, and the energy, you know, of the crowd of actually getting to go to a festival for the first time in a few years was obviously nuts. People were just, you know, so up for it, more up for it than they'd ever been before. The weather was beautiful. It really felt like, you know, the relief, one thing of it happening, and the elation of just having everyone in a massive field, you know, going nuts. It was insane. I mean, yeah, we were like, it's always crazy as well when you haven't played a show for a while. You know, we're a band who, like, we ease into things quite slowly. We need to like build up a few shows usually before we find our groove again. But there wasn't any opportunity to do that this time. So the nerves were, like, you know, going crazy. The excitement from us was probably the most we'd ever had before. But it was amazing. You know, we'll never forget that.
Awesome. Now we're going to run out of time shortly because you've got a morning full of interviews, or a night in your area. So you're going to be hitting our shores for 3 shows. You know, everyone pumps up their tour. Like, we're going to have such a great time. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Now, as a band, will you be trying to exact revenge on stage for all the times that you lose the Ashes to Australia?
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, that will be the main driving factor behind our performances, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. But I've actually got to say, like, it's weird in England. You've got a festival called Slam Dunk, and you're not really a basketball country.
No, I don't really know how that
like
came about.
Penalty shootout?
Yeah. Something to, I don't know if it would have the same ring to it.
No, it wouldn't.
Show something that sounded cool, but I like that.
Yeah.
Or something about the wickets or something. Yeah.
The wickets, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, before I let you go, have you started work on new music?
Yeah, we have, you know, played around with a few ideas. We've got a few tracks already that we're kind of super, super stoked with. And yeah, it's been fun. Kind of, again, we haven't rushed into anything. We kind of wanted to take a leaf out of last album's, you know, playbook, where by accident, with the way that our writing period fell within lockdown and everything, it became probably the most enjoyable writing process we've ever had, because there wasn't this crazy time pressure of, you have a festival, you have a tour booked, so you have to have an album out for this time. Which is, you know, you want a bit of pressure, but there's been times before where, you know, the pressure's been too much, and it can suck the fun out of the creative process. So, you know, it was amazing writing an album without that. That was, you know, one of the positives that we tried to take from the lockdown. And while there still obviously will be a lot more pressure this time, we're kind of just trying to ease back in and, you know, find out again what is exciting us this time around. You know, figure out what direction we want to go in, because, you know, we constantly evolve as a band, and that's something I think we're just kind of we won't be able to shake. You know, every album it feels like we're kind of cheating ourselves and cheating of our fans if we don't try something new, but it's always with the building blocks of what's come before. So, you know, working out what we enjoyed and have enjoyed playing from amazing things as well, and taking that forward. So yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have some new music at some point this year for sure.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Hopefully we'll see some on stage in a couple of months. Rob, thanks.
Well, I hope so, yeah. Mate, thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Been a great chat. We'll see you in a couple of months, and yeah, bring you back. We'll play a bit of backyard cricket in the alleys behind the venues.
Perfect. Wicked.
Have a good day, mate. Thank you.
See you then, man.
Bye.
Bye.
The world is a vampire.
The Smashing Pumpkins are coming down under this April for their World is a Vampire Festival, with special guests Jane's Addiction, Amel and the Sniffers, and more. Plus, professional wrestling, the NWA versus Australia's best. Tickets on sale now at oneworldentertainment.com.au. The Smashing Pumpkins World is a Vampire Festival. Get your tickets now.